Hi, I'm Cristina Smith, creator, along with my brother, the extremely wise and very creative puzzle master Rick Smith. And we are the authors of the Yoga for the Brain series of profound philosophy, and some say super duper califragilisticexpialidociously fun puzzle books. We are celebrating the release of our fifth book in our Yoga for the Brain series, Inspired Wisdom Word Search, featuring 60 contributing authors. We are celebrating by hanging out with some of them, and today we are with Maura Finn. She's the author of puzzle number 7, Wisdom of the Inner Child. Welcome, Maura. Please tell us about yourself.
Hi, Christina. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so glad we could figure out a good time frame. And I'm super excited to be a part of this series and to talk about the inner child. Um, Definitely one of my favorite topics as an educator for many, many years, teaching all types of children from little ones to adult ones. So I have a huge connection with the child part of our humanness. And in addition to that, I also work as an energy healer, a yoga instructor, a firewalk instructor, and leading ceremony and living all over the world in different places to meet different people and learn about their culture, as well as spending a lot of time in nature and getting to know how to connect with the world around me.
So where in the world are you right now?
I'm currently in Thailand on the beautiful crystal island of Koh Phangan, and it is quite a magical place. And I do live next door to a rooster farm right now, so the roosters are up and at 'em, so we may hear them in the background.
Well, it's nice to have a good soundtrack, right?
Exactly. Roosters and very vocal birds, some really unique tropical birds here.
So, how would you say that the inner child serves us in our life? I mean, a lot of us were really anxious to get through childhood. Others of us really love childhood. Some of us don't remember our childhoods. Tell us about the inner child.
Well, I know there's a lot of talk about it in the world right now. People saying, connect to your inner child. And there's a lot of different modalities that access the child, whether it be family constellation work or EFT tapping. The work that I do involves self-directed compassion. And oftentimes, whatever issue that we're working on in life, whatever trauma that we are healing, it tends to always come back to that early childhood time, before 7 years old. And even in that time, there may not be a memory of it in the conscious mind, but the subconscious mind is often working from and kind of running a programming from that time period. And so in my own personal experience and, working with many different people, understanding that when they do tap into that place and they get the information from the inner child, the wisdom and the knowledge is profound. And often it ignites this spark where they might say, oh, I've been feeling really lifeless and dull, and I don't know what my direction is or what I'm doing. And then they find maybe 5-year-old version of themselves who is doing the exact thing that then as an adult they say, oh, I've always loved that, or yeah, I dream about that a lot, or I think about that a lot. And it's like, oh yeah. And it's like, yes, because deep down you always knew, you just forgot, or there were layers of things placed on top of it.
That's really, really wise. And I wanted to just mention, because we have a lot of talk about trauma and, accessing your inner child and going back to childhood. But I would like to just clarify that a lot of this, some of it may be the responsibility of the parents, but much of it can be the perception of the child, of how they received what the parents did. So there's no badness from the parents, right?
Exactly, absolutely. And when the perception of the child, then it's just, I just needed to be seen, and if you're seeing me now, then, and then it's like they kind of bounce back really quickly, like, oh yeah, that's what it really was all about. And the truth underneath all of those layers is that it's the joy, it's the essence of who we are. And that essence has never been taken away. It can't be, unless we give away our power and give someone else that opportunity. But there is really this innocence that is just so beautiful, and it's on a deep, deep level of every human being.
Yeah, you're right. And then there's the joy of the teenager and the joy of the young adult and the joy of the mother. And, there is joy possible in all ages of life. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. And I'm often in awe of it sometimes. One of the amazing things about traveling and experiencing new things is that you have to get out of your comfort zone. So it takes a little bit of courage, I would
Just
say.
a little bit.
And for me, it has been, riding a motorbike. I had learned how to ride a motorcycle a few
Ooh.
years back. But yeah, so I drive my motorbike around, and there is this liberation that comes in. I know that sometimes I'm kind of giddy with glee, and it seems so mundane, just, oh, and then I have to like look back at it, and it also comes back to gratitude. And that gratitude practice of, wow, I'm so grateful. I get to have this life. I get to have this experience. I get to work. I get to eat this food. And so reminding myself that each free will choice is one that I'm making, and that joy can come from, sometimes I'll start laughing when the roosters wake me up in the middle of the night, and I could be angry about it and think, oh, you guys, it's too early. Why are you talking? And I said, no, let's play with this song, like you said, the soundtrack, and see where this is taking me.
So what advice would you give to someone who just really isn't real happy in their life? And, where would they start, or what kind of, can you say?
I think it's really valid and valuable to also, not, I guess sometimes they'll use the word spiritually bypass, or to just, or bypass at all, anything, any emotion. And so, your pain is as real as it is. And so to tell someone, just be happy or just be joyful, or for me to
Right.
say, oh, I'm joyful all the time, like that's absolutely not true. I'll cry at the drop of a hat, or I'll have days where I don't want to do anything, and then I get into a little bit of, oh, this is really hard. And yeah, that's all well and good, and I acknowledge it too. But to then just take the first step, to just be willing, to try something different, to be willing to hear a different perspective, to be willing to read a puzzle in a book, and maybe that changes a whole perception of something that you thought had to be really difficult, or that you had to go through years and years and years of some form of therapy to change. And it's just a quick shift. And so really my best advice that I give myself and that I give others is, are you willing? Okay, then let's just take the first step. Let's just take the
Right.
first step.
And don't believe everything you think, because your mind will get stuck in ruts, and it'll keep going over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, the same thoughts, and make you believe that that's reality. But it's only reality if you say it is.
Yeah.
You have the choice to say, yeah, you may be telling this, but I think I'm going to go buy myself a bottle of bubbles and blow some bubbles for a little while. So you can just totally interrupt your own thought cycle. If you can just have the awareness for a moment of going, no, and just take a breath, right? It just
Yeah,
starts
and
with the breath.
it always starts with the breath. And I have I worked as a crisis specialist with teenagers, and some of them couldn't say my name, and so I became known as the breathing lady, which was quite funny. And they'd be like, "Oh, you should go see the breathing lady," or "The breathing lady's coming to math class today." And really, what a gift. So it's, if I were to even go back to the question you asked me, what would you say? Just breathe. But sometimes that phrase can be quite a trigger for people if they're very angry, and you're like, "Oh, just take a deep breath." They're like, "Grr!" It's like, well, but let's breathe through it, because that's the one thing we have the control over and we have access to. And like you said, interrupting the neural pattern, and to interrupt that place that felt so comfortable that we got really used to it, and see what might be on the other side of it.
Well, we talk about breath a lot in Inspired Wisdom Word Search. We have a whole chapter called The Yoga of Breath, which really discusses that a lot. So, Maura, what kind of puzzles do you like?
Uh, I love word searches. They've always
Ooh.
been my favorite puzzle to do. But I also like physical puzzles. So like a Rubik's Cube. Can we call that a puzzle? A Rubik's Cube, or the kind that had the links.
Oh, yeah.
And, and trying to sort those out. And but for me, really, it's always been word searches, and then crosswords, but the easier ones. So not New York Times crossword. That was a little frustrating for me.
Yeah, those
But
are pretty tough.
yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, and thanks for joining us live from Thailand. You can read Maura's Wisdom of the Inner Child puzzle and 59 other fabulous puzzles in Inspired Wisdom Word Search Yoga for the Brain, available at Amazon.com, Target.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and feel free to walk into a bookstore and ask for it by name. Thanks so much for listening. Bye for now.